Before I start this video, if you've not subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, please click the like button, share this out through social media, and leave comments in the comments section. Today, I'm going to be discussing episode 2 of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. The episode is called Hard Salted Beef, and it starts off with Ser Duncan giving a synopsis of the life of Sir Arlen Pennytree. We get a flashback to Sir Arlen coming out of a hut to take a piss naked. And let us just say that Sir Arlen does not need a lance to joust.
Wiener, 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 next to another wiener, 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 two wieners alongside yet another wiener, wiener party.
Oh, George, you fig you. Anyway, Ser Duncan is giving this synopsis of Sir Arlen Pennytree's life to 3 of the houses of Westeros: Florin, Hayford, and finally to House Tyrell. And when the flashback is over, we see that he is talking to Sir Leo Longthorn of House Tyrell. And Sir Leo, like the rest of the houses before him, does not remember Sir Arlen. This prompts Egg and Duncan to move on. Egg has some very choice words. First of all, regarding Sir Arlen, he basically says he must have been a shit knight, which Sir Duncan denies. Then he says this is undignified. In other words, basically walking around like a beggar, trying to get someone to remember who your mentor was, and reminds Sir Duncan that regardless of the situation, he's a knight. And what he should be doing is going to the lists, calling out Sir Leo, and basically turning his arsehole into a lance hole, which is a great line. I think that is absolutely a classic line. I absolutely loved it when I heard it the first time. It's great. I really think the actors playing Egg and Sir Duncan are doing a great job playing off of each other. Anyways, this really frustrates Sir Duncan, and he suggests that Egg should go back to camp. And Egg does not want to go back to camp, at which point we hear some horns and we see some riders coming into Ashford Meadows carrying the banners of the Targaryens. This seems to trigger something in Egg, and all of a sudden he wants to go back to camp. And we're going to put up our little spoiler sign here, and we are going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I think the reason why Aegon is so freaked out is I kind of got it wrong last episode. I believe Daron, who was in the inn, actually was trying to ditch the tournament. He does not want to participate, and he was keeping Egg with him. Obviously, Egg wanted to go to the tourney, which is why he ends up where he's at right now and being a squire to Sir Duncan. And obviously, Aegon is a little weirded out to see the Targaryens have arrived, because he's afraid if he's found, of course, that they're going to take him back, and then he will no longer be Sir Duncan's squire. And that's it for the spoilers for now. So Sir Duncan goes to see the Targaryens' arrival, and Lord Ashford greets the Targaryens, who consist mostly of the direct line of Daeron II. The first one is Baelor Targaryen, who is the firstborn. He is the prince, and he is also the hand of the king. The second person we get introduced to is his brother, which is Maekar, who apparently has no title in the line. At least it's not mentioned. And Lord Ashford introduced both of the Targaryens to his daughter Gwyn. And there is a third Targaryen riding with them, who is Aerion. Forgive me if I'm mutilating the names, but Valyrian is not my first language. And Aerion mistakes Ser Duncan for a stable boy, and then mistakes him for some sort of servant when he tells him to find him a wench and some wine. Sir Duncan finally tells him he's a knight. Aerion takes one look at him and says knighthood has fallen on a sad day, and then departs. The real stable boy has a problem with Aerion's horse. He gets a couple of hooves to the face. So Duncan actually calms the horse down and takes it to the stables, at which point he meets two of the king's guards, Sir Roland Craycall and Danielle of Duskendale. Sir Roland's, I would say he's a bit stiff. He makes a little joke about Sir Duncan's height. I believe he says something like, do you ride your horse in the battle or does it ride you? Sir Danielle basically apologizes for Sir Roland's behavior, and then Sir Roland asks Sir Duncan if there's a proper place to shit, which Duncan tells him no. And Roland basically wanders off to relieve himself. Sir Danielle of Duskendale basically asks Sir Duncan if he's possibly a Duskendale, telling him that the Duskendales are crabbers. And as he gets called away by Wilhelm Wild, who's another member of the King's Guard, Sir Duncan calls back to him and asks, how does a crabber become part of the Knight's Guard? And Sir Danielle basically tells him the same way he became a crabber. So I guess we're kind of looking at Sir Davos 2.0 here. At least that's kind of the way they're playing it. At which point, Duncan spots a woman going through a passage. For some reason, I don't know why, Sir Duncan decides to follow this woman and ends up in Lord Ashford's castle. And he is overhearing a conversation between Baelor, Maekar, and Lord Ashford, at which point Lord Ashford's daughter Gwyn comes up behind Sir Duncan and tells him that Maekar's two children have been kidnapped, and then calls Duncan big and stupid and kind of fakes swinging at him and leaves. At which point Maekar actually spots Sir Duncan, because I guarantee you hiding is not one of his skills. And Sir Duncan is called out before Baelor and everyone else. They kind of ask him what he's doing here, and Duncan explains his problem that none of the houses that Sir Arlen of Pennytree served remembers him, and he can't participate in the tournament until someone recognizes him. Well, of all people, Baelor actually remembers Sir Arlen of Pennytree, basically says he never won a tournament, but at the same time, he never embarrassed himself. And he relates one particular memory that Sir Arlen of Pennytree actually dismounted the Grey Lion. And to test Sir Duncan, he says, well, surely you remember who the Grey Lion is. And Sir Duncan has to think about it, and then he remembers that it's Daemon Lannister, who is currently the Lord of Castle Rock. Baelor says basically that's correct, and that he would have no objection to Sir Duncan signing up for the lists, but it's up to the Master of Games. The Master of Games has absolutely no way he's going to cross Baelor, so he agrees, and now Sir Duncan is in the tournament. He basically is about to leave, and then he commits a faux pas by saying he hopes that Makar's children are not found dead, which was kind of a cringe moment, and it looked like Maker is about to lose his mind. And Duncan excuses himself again. And as he's leaving, Baelor reminds him that he can't use Sir Arlen's signal because he is not of Sir Arlen's blood. So now Duncan needs to get a new signal. Sigil. We pick up, Sir Duncan goes back to the puppet show with Tanzel, and they're doing a different show, and actually Egg's there, so he's returned from camp after the show. Duncan and Egg talk to Tanzel. They find out that she's the one that's actually painting all the puppets, and Sir Duncan asks if he could hire her to paint a sigil on his shield. Basically, between the three of them, they come up with a sunset field with an elm tree and a shooting star, which was basically the end of the episode 1. And I forget, there was a minor slight there. I don't remember exactly what he said. But when they go outside, they sit down, and Sir Duncan asks Egg, of all people, if he screwed up, and Egg was basically like, yes. And Duncan goes, well, she agreed to paint the shield. And Egg replies, well, that's because you paid her. It's the irony of all this is Sir Duncan's getting relationship advice from a 9-year-old. About this time, Lionel Baratheon appears again, and it looks like he's in a tug-of-war contest against the Tyrells. I think it was the Tyrells. And he basically grabs Egg and Duncan to be on his team. And this is another veiled measurement of Ser Duncan by Sir Lionel Baratheon. The tug-of-war starts. like less than a minute in, Lionel basically lets go of the rope, goes back to his people who are in the crowd watching, gets a drink from them, and remarkably, at first it looks like the Tyrells might win, but then Ser Duncan starts pulling really hard, and they're actually making way even without Sir Lionel Baratheon pulling. And Sir Lionel sees this, gives Ser Duncan a little swat on the ass, goes back up to where he was before, and starts pulling, and Lionel Baratheon's team wins easily. So there's a little bit of a celebration there. And then we go to night. It's night at that point. And Sir Duncan's looking for armor to joust tomorrow because he can't joust in Sir Arlen's armor. It's not even going to come close to fitting him. He runs into Steely Pate, who gives him a deal for, I forget, 600 whatever the coin is, but he needs 600 of it. And that's with Sir Arlen's armor thrown in. And all he has at this point is 2. And Steely says, well, that'll rent it for a day. So he gives him the 2 coin that he has left. And then he goes off and he sells his white horse. And I'm assuming he sells his white horse in case he loses his first joust tomorrow, because then he can ransom back the armor that he doesn't own as well as the horse. He promises his horse, the white one, that he'll make enough money to buy him back. And it was kind of actually a little bit of a touching moment. Actually, he cares about the horses. And we go back to a bar or a tavern or something, and Egg and Ser Duncan are talking, and Ser Duncan says, well, if I win the tourney, maybe one of the great houses will pick me up as a knight, maybe even the Targaryens. And Egg's like, the Targaryens, the lords of Westeros, are going to bother with a hedge knight? And at this point, Duncan brings up the earlier conversation he had with Duskendale and says, well, if the son of a crabber can become a knight, can become part of the Kingsguard, why can't I serve a great house? And Egg's like, Danielle Duskendale's father owns half the crab fleet in Westeros. So this isn't a Sir Davos situation. Basically, Danielle is the son of a rich man, and that's why he's part of the Kingsguard. So we got a little bit of a misdirection there. At that point, we hear some trumpets. Everyone goes over to the tourney area, and a lot of the top knights are doing an exhibition, I guess, because the tournament doesn't start till tomorrow. So we get to see a few of the knights, about 8 of the knights up there. I believe it was 8. And Egg is on Duncan's shoulders to start. And on top of everything else, we get to see Valar, which is Baelor's son. He's actually here at the tournament too. So a lot of the Targaryens are here. Like I said earlier in my last episode, the last episode I reviewed, The Targaryens need to show that there's still a power in Westeros because they've lost their dragons and some of their mystique. I'm very excited to see how the tournament plays out because the exhibition was awesome. It was violent, it was chaotic. A couple of the knights got trampled after they were dismounted. I mean, it was carnage and chaos, and it looked really good. It was shot really well. We don't know who the winner was because it didn't matter because it was an exhibition. The tournament really doesn't start till tomorrow, so they didn't bother showing us the winner. The last scene of the episode is Ser Duncan and Egg back at camp, and basically Ser Duncan making a vow that all the houses that didn't remember Sir Arlen will see what Sir Arlen wrought on the morrow. And that's basically how the episode ends. Again, I thought it was really well done. I think the timing is good. It's about 30 minutes, I think, when you leave out the preview and then all the credits at the end. The credits at the end seem like about 10 minutes, of course. Then it's also the preview for episode 3. But I believe the episode itself is only like 30-minute runtime. It goes real fast. There's not much of a lull here. There's things constantly happening. Again, you're introduced to some new characters. I think we're done with that. I think we're going to start getting into the meat of the tale starting in episode 3. The tourney's going to start, and then you're going to see a lot of action. I really hope it looks as good as the exhibition did in this episode because it was really well done. I can't wait to see what happens next. I'm very invested in this show. And I'm going to end the review right here. And like my father told me when I was 18 years old, get out.